This is the Read, Write, and Create podcast, the podcast where you get a bite-sized session of creative writing coaching from me, Loril. I'm a journalist and a former tenured college professor who moved to the south of Spain so I could live a global literary life. I'm also an award-winning author of both fiction and nonfiction who believes in the transformative power of a story well told. I created this podcast because I want to help as many BIPOC writers as possible get their stories out of their heads and into the world. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, wordsmiths, storytellers, and scribes. Welcome back to the 5th season of the Read, Write, and Create podcast. Woohoo! If you're new here, thank you for coming, and I'm glad you're taking your writing life seriously. If you're a returning listener, how you been? I missed you. Really, I did. I missed you. And I hope that you've had a good season of writing, reading, and creating beautiful things since we've last been together. Yeah, we're back. All right. So today on the show, I just want to give you some updates about my writing life, give you guys a quick recap about my time living in a library in Ghana, and I want to let you know what we have planned for this very special season of the podcast. So let's get right into it. First and foremost, I want to tell you guys about my exciting experience living in a library in Ghana. In case this is the first time you have joined us on this podcast, I was awarded a month-long residency at the Library of Africa and the African Diaspora in Accra, Ghana. And I spent the month of March 2025 there living in the library. The residency that I won is called the Black Atlantic Residency and is open to all writers of the African diaspora. When you become a resident there, you receive room and board for the month, plus a stipend for travel expenses and other living expenses while you are in Ghana. So if I had to use a word to describe this experience, I would just say it was delightful. It was amazing. It was incredible. And it surpassed all of my expectations. This was my first time actually in Ghana. It was my first time in an African country other than Morocco. So I was looking forward to this experience, but I really did try to temper my expectations. Before I left for Ghana, I made a list of goals that I hoped to accomplish while I was in residence. And those goals were, specifically about my writing life. But I also, like I said, tried to keep realistic goals about what I would think about Ghana. I was excited, but again, I wanted to keep my expectations at a neutral level just to see, whatever happened would happen. As far as my writing went, my main goal was to complete a full edit of my new novel manuscript. And I'm happy to report that I accomplished that. Was it literally 1 hour before I left to come back to Spain? Yes. So yes, I was literally working until the very last minute, had an hour to pack and get to the airport, but I did it. I was determined. I was like, I'm going to hit send and send this manuscript to my agent before I leave Africa. And I did that. Basically, other than the very first week of the residency, where we were taken on some amazing field trips around Accra and to the Cape Coast, we did have our days and nights completely to ourselves to write, to organize our days the way we wanted to. I did keep a very regular writing schedule, but I found myself deeply distracted by all of the books. Did you not hear me say we were in a library? Yes. The Library of Africa and the African Diaspora is a private library, but it is a library nonetheless, and there were amazing books all over. As soon as I walked out of my room in the mornings, I was met by a floor-to-ceiling bookshelf full of books. And the books there at that library were all books of writers, authors of the African diaspora, and they're organized by country. So there's a shelf of authors from West Africa. There's a shelf just for Ghanaian authors, Caribbean authors, European authors, authors from the Americas. Honestly, it was so delicious. I wanted to read everything on those shelves and had to remind myself that I was there to write, not read. But it was a losing battle, people. I could not win that battle. I mean, I have loved libraries my whole entire life. And I was just like, it was like being a kid in a candy store and somebody saying, okay, you can look at all this candy, but you can't try any of it. So rather than fight the feeling, rather than fight the desire to read all of those books, I just had to incorporate reading into my writing schedule, if you will. And I ended up gobbling up as many books as possible. And I really, when I thought about it, I mean, the fact that I was in this library, the fact that I had access to all of these different books that I really, really have a hard time accessing in Spain. There just aren't very many books here in English by Black authors, particularly global Black authors. So with that thought in mind, I was very intentional about reading as many West African authors as I could, since I haven't read that many books by West African authors in my lifetime. So I tried to make up for lost time while I was there in Ghana. And it was such a treat to read. I really focused on contemporary stories, actually, by both Ghanaian and Nigerian authors. I was living in Ghana. I was in community with another writer from Nigeria. So it was just such a immersive experience to be reading about the culture and world that I was currently living in. So I can sum up by saying that I read 9 books while I was there in a month. I was a greedy reader, just read one book on top of the other, on top of the other, on top of the other. If you are interested in seeing some of the titles that I read, I did write a blog post about this. You can find it on the Read, Write, and Create blog. I'll leave a link in the show notes. But I did finish my novel manuscript, that edit. I read 9 books. But one of the other parts of this experience that was just outstanding was being in community with other writers from across the diaspora. I was in community. I was in residency with 4 other writers, 2 Ghanaian writers, a Nigerian writer, and another African-American writer. We all got along really well and had so much fun together. I missed them all so much. We were like a family by the end of week 1. And not only did I enjoy their presence and just, having a good time with them, but I feel like I became a better writer because of them. All of them were poets. Some of them were poets and essayists as well, or poets and novelists, but all of them were poets and such beautiful writers. And so I did learn a lot about, I feel like my writing craft was expanded and stretched because of them. But I also learned about their literary communities in their respective countries, which was something that I've been trying to do more of as I expand my global literary life. So that was really, really a treat as well. I feel like I've just begun to experience the Ghanaian literary community, which is very active. And I love that. It was great. So I could go on and on. I had such a great experience. And if you want to know more, I swear to God, I will tell you. I will bend your ear. I will keep talking. But for the sake of this podcast, I'm going to stop talking about that experience. But I will say that if you have a chance to visit Accra, do yourself a favor and make a stop at the Library of Africa and the African diaspora. It is a private library, so you can't just, pop in right off the street. You have to make an appointment, but that's what they're there for. So if you want to go, just make an appointment and enjoy yourself with all of those delicious books that are available to read. Also, if you are thinking about applying to a residency, whether it's at the Library of Africa and the African diaspora or any other residency, I highly recommend it. I would say to make sure that the residency where you're applying, make sure that the institution and the founders or the people supporting the residency, that they share your values and such. You want to make sure you're in a place that you'll be comfortable, but having the time and space to dedicate to your writing practice can truly be so beneficial, not just to the craft, not just to the project you're working on, but to your soul. It really made me feel like I could spend that time and even just to daydream about the work, about the writing, about the reading, about the power of story, about books. It really was transformative for me. So yeah. It was a great experience all around. I just keep telling everybody it was a vibe. It was definitely a vibe. So I want to get into talking a little bit more about the upcoming season of the podcast. Oh, wait a minute. There's one last thing. Those of you who might have read my blog post before leaving for Ghana, I mentioned that one of my last goals was to bump into Idris Elba because he said he was going to be building a movie studio in Accra. Well, would you believe that Mr. Elba was actually in Accra the same time I was, and he spoke at an event that I could have gone to. I had a hookup with somebody who knew the organizer of the event, but I missed it because I was too busy reading and I wasn't paying attention to my Idris Elba tracker on Instagram. And so I was a little mad at myself. I missed him by one day. So I guess that means I have to go back to Ghana so that I can possibly run into Idris Elba. Anyway, let's get back to what really matters. And that is this podcast, right? It's this podcast. So what are we talking about for season 5? I'm excited because we are actually going to be doing a themed season for season 5. Yes, you heard it here first. Season 5 is going to be a season that we're calling Behind the Book. We're going to be bringing you interviews with the people who traffic in books or whose businesses and work depend on the free flow of books in society. So you can expect to hear from booksellers, agents, publicists, librarians, bibliotherapists, and more. And I'm not going to lie, I was inspired to do this special themed season due to the continuous attacks on our books and our histories and our stories. This is my way of, let's say, fighting back, of gathering together our resources, and of figuring out what we can do to keep our stories in the world. My goal for this season is to continue to inspire you writers by hearing the stories of the people who work hard every day to keep books circulating in society and who can remind us all of how important books are and why we need to keep writing them. This is not just a cute hobby you have. This is not just something that you've always wanted to do. This is not a vanity project. Your books, your stories are necessary. I call myself a literary activist, and this season is one of many forms of my activism. I think this season, the people who you're going to be hearing from are meant to show you, to give you greater context for the work you're doing. I want you to listen to the people that you're going to hear from in this season and understand that you have a purpose, that you must keep writing. You must remember why the work you do matters way beyond a book deal or a bestseller list. Whether you're writing about ancient history or you're crafting a cozy mystery, it all counts. It all counts for you, my creative BIPOC scribes. The world needs you to keep writing and putting our stories out. As always, I am creating this podcast in service to you. Yes, you. I want to inspire you. I want to teach you. I want to show you what's possible. I am excited to start this season because I know it's necessary. I hope you are excited as well. You can look for new episodes to come at you every Monday for the next 10 weeks here on the Read, Write, and Create podcast. Thank you, as always, for listening to this award-winning podcast. If you're looking for more creative writing inspiration and useful resources for your literary life, be sure to check out the Read, Write, and Create website at readwriteandcreate.com. And that is REED, writeandcreate.com. And while you're over there on the website, you can find the link to sign up for the Read, Write, and Create newsletter, which is the first place where you'll find out about my latest classes and creative offerings, as well as cool things to optimize and enjoy your literary lifestyle. I will leave a link for both the website and the newsletter in the show notes. Also, if you're interested in following my global literary lifestyle, you should check out and subscribe to my new YouTube channel. That's at Literary Lori on YouTube. Of course, I will leave the link. Finally, if you want updates about The Sanctuary, our membership community for BIPOC women writers who take their writing seriously, which is awesome. I have to say, it's the best group of writers global writers now that I've ever been in, the best community. We are truly on fire. Be sure to follow the Read, Write, and Create account on Instagram. That's at Read, Write, and Create, CRE, and then the number 8. We always post there about the sanctuary, when we're opening, when we're taking new applicants, also what kind of amazing work our members are doing. We also post opportunities for writers there as well. So make sure you're following Read, Write, and Create on Instagram. Last but not least, if you find any value in this podcast and you want to say thank you in a way that will help me keep producing this podcast, please feel free to buy me a coffee. It's not really coffee. It's actually a donation app called Buy Me a Coffee that lets you make a small monetary donation, basically the amount of a cup of coffee to support the show. What does it cost to make a podcast? Why do I need money to support this show? Well, one, it costs my time, which you may not know is worth quite a bit. And it takes me about 10 hours per episode. Seriously, with everything that I have to do, from researching my guests, interviewing the guests, writing my scripts, it takes me at least 10 hours per episode. Also, I have to pay for my wonderful editor to make sure each episode sounds as crisp and clean as it does. So even if you buy me just one coffee, which literally wouldn't even cover an hour of my time, it wouldn't even cover 15 minutes of my time. What it does is that it shows me that people are actually listening and that they care about the quality of the show and that it means something to them, which in fact then means something to me. It means that the show is serving the writers I want to nurture and inspire to keep writing. And, if you buy me a coffee, I will take that money and buy myself, not a coffee because I don't really drink coffee, but I will buy myself some Earl Grey tea, which is my favorite. And I will keep making this podcast because I love doing it and I love you all. Thank you. The Read, Write, and Create podcast is written and produced by me, Loril Tharps. Our editor is Brad Linder, and our theme music is by Wataboy. Until next week, scribes, keep writing. The world needs more BIPOC stories written by BIPOC storytellers just like you.